What they're doing out here today is they're demonstrating the maneuvers they might have to perform on a typical battlefield of Napoleonic era.
Okay.
Now they're moving into confined areas, so they have to advance.
Fuck's sakes.
Thank you, sir.
So while the second York is firing, the guys in the rear are reloading their muskets.
Oh, okay.
They will advance through them.
Fuck's sakes. Okay.
The idea was max firepower not only means enough for working, but enough for working that you're going to hit something, even at 200 yards
They've
away.
just made space.
Not only at starting,
They're going to want to shoot them.
technology that topped it at this time period. Repeated like that.
Pretty cool, eh?
Yeah.
They train and drill quite extensively
Oh, okay.
to be safe.
Yeah.
Those black powder explosives that they are firing at these weapons.
Oh, okay.
It's without bar.
Well, without the, yeah.
That bad.
I hope so.
You all have to go back to work on Monday.
Yeah. Should I move over there?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Move over.
Newark, which was his own constituency. But don't worry, Wilcox got what he deserved. In 1814, at the siege of Fort Erie, he was killed in a skirmish, and he got the best end for Canadian burial and buffalo.
They're gonna in the back, aren't they?
But if you do want to root for someone local, look on the British and Canadian side, you'll see green-coated troops. These are troops of the 2nd York Militia Service in Canada and the United States is mandatory for all able-bodied adult men. You would have to come out once a year to prove you were able to operate the weapon, and then you were usually rewarded with free alcohol for the rest of the day. So pre-war training wasn't that great. But when the war broke out, they started to form volunteer companies where they would be paid, trained, and equipped just like regular soldiers to be a conscripting militia for anywhere from 30 days to 1 year, in which they would receive training. By 1813 and 1814, many of the Canadian militia and American militia were performing on par with their Army counterparts, and even getting uniforms. So the green and blue that you see them wearing, this is because of a shortage of red dye. Green, they need.
Oh, look at America. Oh, that was good.
Now on the American side as well, you notice many of them are wearing the traditional blue. And I mentioned earlier about men wearing gray. There are some of the Americans wearing gray uniforms, and this is because, just like the British with their shortage of red dye, the Americans suffered from a shortage of blue dye. Blue dye actually got so expensive that by 1814, its price had increased 14-fold. This is declaring war on your blue dye supplier. So the Americans had to find makeshift. You found Americans in black, brown, white uniforms, and the gray was the one that was used predominantly in the Niagara. Jackets. Now the men hated work jackets. That's not what a soldier of the Republic wears. It's what, a stable hand wears. But those men in gray at the Battle of Chippewa on July the 5th of 1814 did something the U.S. Army had never done. is beat the British in equal numbers on an open field and win. It was a huge victory for the Americans, and to this day, gray is the color of a professional United States Army. If you don't believe me, go to West Point Military Academy and tell me what color they're still wearing today. It's not blue.
Look, everybody came.
Now something else to point out. During a close engagement like this, the Americans actually had a little bit of an edge over the British and Canadians, and it was because of what they were firing. American ammunition was buck and ball. So the British fired a musket ball, 1 ounce ball. That's going to do a lot of damage. But the Americans also had 3 loaded in as well. So at close range, the buckshot, it's not going to kill you, but it can definitely wound you and put you out of action. And if you're looking at an army 200 years ago, it doesn't matter if you're out because you've been killed or because you've been wounded. You're out. That's what they needed in that moment. It's actually interesting to note the Americans complained about buck and ball because it was this load. It tended to kick like a mule when you fired it. There are a record of Americans actually dumping out a little bit of the powder before loading it.